So I felt called to come down here and I pulled off camera. You can trust me if you want, you don't have to. I just don't feel the best. Like I was gonna do readings this morning, but I'm not feeling my greatest, so I've been chilling, which is also why I felt confused to come down here. But there's this energy for you, who I'm looking at right now through the screen, of you learning a lesson of overgiving. And it's because you have this go-getter energy that is actually very beautiful about you, right? And that's not something Spirit wants you to just get rid of. They want you to stop using it in spaces and places that don't value you, right? That are banking off of this, okay? And I feel like I'm reading for someone who has learned. And now this is like you have learned and you are in the process of cutting people off, or you have learned and you have cut people off and you're having kind of little flashback or little moments of realizing like, oh, yeah, this is exactly what the fuck I was like kind of feeling. Like it was that little bitty validating energy that just recently hit you of like, okay, my energy was the one that was carrying a lot of this, and like that's why it was important to pull it back. So when we're talking about this, it feels like there is somebody that kind of 1, 2, 3 got outcasted in this like cutoff season where you're like, no. And now, if this is someone you cut off and don't want back, period. You do not have to waste your time listening to this. You don't have to do anything. This is just someone that wants to make something very known. So this is someone who overburns themselves, overwhelms themselves because of an expectation that they put on themselves to meet for others around them, right? So it's someone that performs. And you kind of called their performance, you called their bluff, because you really stopped wanting to go in this cycle of highs, because what it feels like this person does, like they come in, this is someone who's very disconnected from their heart, but you connect them back to it. There's something about you being the key to their heart. And as cutesy as that sounds, this doesn't feel like a lovely 222 roller coaster. It feels like something a little turbulent, because it was like a big reflection on the both of you as to why this connection fit the way that it did, worked the way that it did. You kind of illuminated through no longer being in that same energy of like overgiving, over providing, carrying all the weight, carrying everything, right? Like you stopped being strong for love, and it starts showing where they never really had the potential that they thought they did, because they were disconnected from their heart, you know? They didn't know how to set foundations in love. So how are they really to build anything stable with you? So it feels like, yeah, it'd be moments of like, oh, but I feel this deeply for you. And it would be passionate and intense. And the next thing you know, it would be kind of back to that inadequacy. 311 on my timer. Because it was just not backed by a real foundation. It was backed by their expectations of love that weren't true to them, which is why they could never fulfill them, because it wasn't something that was coming from deeply inside their heart. It was something that feels like it was kind of placed upon them. 333. So it's almost like in you taking your power back by no longer over carrying, it forced this person to take their power back in places where they were over giving, right? Like they were selling themselves short because it was comfortable to not carry so much labor, to not have to have that strength. So it's almost like that toxic cycle got shown to them of like, or they're not living true to themselves, they're living true to a performance, because that performance brings comfortability, but you bring out a side of them that wants long-term stability, that wants to see like things actually work out, like have a real foundation. Like you bring out this want for stability and love, but it reflects this inadequacy of them being able to hold that kind of foundation. Now there is a lot of coins out here, so it could feel like this person may think that their providing of money is really where it sells them short. But I think what they're not recognizing is also, even though they have this intense depth of love for you, and they could be a very deep person, 444, they're very immature in the energy of love. They're very immature and emotionally inadequate and emotionally immature in the energies of love, because this is not something like true love, real love, because it's not something that was taught to them. And I think this is kind of that hard mirror reflection back to you of like, you were also not shown real love. You were shown a performance love of sacrifice yourself. 5'11", overgive, hold it down while they're throwing every cord loose to the wind so that you can continue to go have other things to hold down rather than see the things clearly. Because it's like when you're caught up in chaos, you're not always seeing things clearly, so it's easy to be misguided, to be presented an illusion and believe it because you want the peace you're seeking, the shift. And so if someone presents a shift in the midst of chaos, you may believe it for moments, but when the chaos doesn't seem to relieve itself, it starts to settle in again, that moment of like, damn, this is the same pattern that I struggle with within. So that's kind of what it feels like this whole play out is of what this situation. And so I think someone's really having a moment of realizing where they were fighting with themselves, but putting that onto you. Like someone's getting some real karma clearing right now around maybe false narratives that they created to keep themselves comfortable and not having to grow. I feel like you kind of come in and you shattered all of those, and that may have been a lot of what this connection was about, was a shattering of illusions. And it's 3:21 on my clock where I live, actually. And so this person shattered your illusions of performance and needing to do things to be loved because you're actually worthy of love, and you probably have a lot more love than you really understand that you give. Now, I did just hear when I said that you do have trauma that doesn't allow you to be so loving, but you've also not run into someone who challenges you to see beyond your hurts so that you can be challenged to show up in the love that's true to you, right? You've always probably felt like you've had to give less so that you can protect yourself rather than be able to give freely so that there could be something worthy of building together. And so it seems like both of those illuminations for you have been shattered, while the illumination of maturity for whoever the fuck this person was has also been shattered, because if they were mature, they probably would not have done a lot of the things that they did. So you kind of awoken each other up to the lack of maturity you both had. And it feels like, because we have, right, the King of Spears, right, we were all in this energy, and this kind of feels honestly like some past readings. I'm like seeing the same cards on a past reading that I did. And so like this is the energy that you're leaving them in, right? And this is the energy that they're dying in. And so somebody here is being reborn as the Emperor. Wow, and as soon as I said that, I get a fucking notification that says leaving your old timeline. Leaving your old timeline, 8:11 on my timer. Okay. So you're leaving behind this King of Spears energy where they just kind of go off passion. That's not always the most grounded with structure. It doesn't really have foundations because of their own inadequacy that has them fighting with themselves, but you're getting the, crossfire of that war within themselves. You're no longer participating. You're not Captain Save-A-Ho. This is not, right? Like, we're not free therapy, you know? And so this is either doing one of two things. And really importantly for you to see this, to not attach to what the fuck I'm about to say. 8:58 on my timer. It's either pushing this person into this because they can come into this new timeline with you, just not hand in hand. They need to come on their own, right? Grow on their own. Or this is somebody new who's coming in with the strength to offer you something a bit more mature, right? This isn't like the most mature, it's not the King of Cups, but something that can grow because of the connection that they feel with you, because it's real, because it's authentic. Your inner children can play. You can have a good time. There's a lot of love. There's a lot of honesty, and you make love safe. They either needed to realize that this love was safe and stop bringing their chaos and heal internally so that they can have a safe love with you, or they get the fuck out the way so someone can come in and show you that safe love and give you something to grow upon, invest in love, challenges you in love rather than keeps you small and safe, because that's not what you're seeking anymore, and that was a part of the old timeline. So we're on to the